We're going to talk about Trump's visit to the Middle East. He's over there right now, and some weird stuff is developing that we need to talk about because it has huge implications for all of us in the West about what's happening, and it's I don't know what, I know what to think about it, but I'm a little perplexed because there's a lot of turning of blind eyes to things, and I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, okay. Is my thing up on connected or not? There we go. Okay. So I've heard rumors that what Trump is trying to do is expand the Abrahamic Accords. And this is a problem because if you remember the Abrahamic Accords, it's a problem because it divides the land of Israel and wanted to create a two-state solution. Obviously, Israel's not going to go for that. And then it divided Jerusalem to make it kind of not only the capital of Israel, but the capital of the Palestinians. So it had a lot of flaws, a lot of problems. It was ill-advised. Jared Kushner was behind it, not so much Trump. And Jared Kushner is a little snake in the grass that cannot be trusted. And you got to watch out for this guy. Okay, so Trump goes over there. And the rumors is he's trying to expand the Abrahamic Accords. Let me get to this first. I got to tell you what's going on in Israel. They believe they have killed Yahya Sinwar's brother, Mahmoud Sinwar, and that's both of them now how they look because they're both been eliminated. But here's the blast that they got him with. So he's up in smoke now. So him and his brother, like I said, that's how they looked in life. That's how they're looking in death now. Anyway, I wanted to tell you, because this is the bizarre thing that's happening in Israel. Houthi missiles were launched yesterday. It's like the third launch in 24 hours. And you can see where all they're being intercepted. They're not hitting, but they're being intercepted. Now, the thing about it is Trump made a deal with the Houthis through Oman that the United States wouldn't fire on the Houthis and the Houthis would not attack U.S. vessels. But that didn't include Israel, which is odd. It didn't include Israel in all of that. So the Houthis have been firing missiles while Trump has been in the Middle East, at least in Saudi Arabia. So it's kind of weird. Okay, so that's what's going on in Israel. And so Trump goes along with Steve Witkoff, and that's another guy you need to pay attention to. He is not to be trusted, Steve Witkoff. He is the special envoy to the Middle East. He doesn't know anything about the Middle East. He's a real estate broker. He's a friend of Trump, but he's a real estate broker, and the problem is he's taken money from these countries. So he's compromised. So anyway, Trump goes over there. He's over there right now. He went to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. He just finished going to Qatar. He's visiting with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. We just call him MBS for short. He also then, while he was over there, met with the Syrian leader, Ahmed al-Shara. That's his new name. It used to be something else, but the guy changes his name all the time. And remember, al-Shara was a former al-Qaeda Islamic State lieutenant. Witkoff then went with and met with the Iranians in Oman, talking to them about denuclearization. Okay. Let's talk about Steve Witkoff first. This guy is a fanboy of Qatar, and nobody should be a fanboy of Qatar. They lead in promoting the Muslim Brotherhood. They support the Muslim Brotherhood. They support Hamas. They're infiltrating our colleges and universities. They are leading sponsor of terrorism around the world. And Witkoff saying they're really, really impressive, adding whoever they had master plan here did a really good job. This is solid government. What? And hotels are magnificent. What? Excuse me? They're a solid government. They're a terroristic government. What are you talking about, Steve Witkoff? Kushner, snake in the grass. I can see his eyes. He looks like a snake to me. He's behind Trump's Gaza plan, and that's kind of fallen apart. in recent days. And remember, here was the Gazan plan, just to remind you, that Israel will get some of his hostages back as long as it releases, I think it was 1 to 100 terroristic prisoners, Palestinians, from the Israeli jails back in to Judea and Samaria and other parts of Israel to get some of the hostages back. Now, that doesn't sound like a good deal, but Jared Kushner was behind that kind of junk and pushing basically Biden's deal that he wanted. Anyway, Jared Kushner now runs a private equity firm fueled by investments from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. That's not good. That's not a good thing when these guys, hardcore Islamics, are investing in you. Because what do you think that does to you? Yeah, that buys you off, right? So he's behind the scenes right now. Him and Ivanka are kind of staying behind the scenes, not like the first term, but he's still there, okay? He's still there. He's helping select appointees, guiding certain cabinet members through all this transition stuff, okay? Again, another report, Times of Israel, Jared Kushner behind Trump's plan to take over Gaza. So when Trump came out and said, we want to take over Gaza, it was Jared Kushner pushing that idea, not Trump. So again, question, what expertise does Jared Kushner have of the Middle East? Other than he's Trump's son-in-law. That's all. That's all. That's it. He's Ivanka's husband. That's what gives him the ability to do what he's doing. But he has no Middle Eastern. You know more about the Middle East than he does. Okay, you do. I would put any one of you in that position to tell Trump, hey man, don't mess with MBS, don't mess with Qatar, don't mess with that dude in Syria, because they're crazy. They'll kill you. So check this out. Snake in the grass. After serving as senior advisor in Trump's administration, Jared Kushner founded the private equity firm Affinity Partners in 2021. The firm has secured significant investments from Gulf nations. Saudi Arabia, Saudi Public Investment Fund invested $2 billion, not million, billion into his investment firm. Qatar, Abu Dhabi, in December of 2024, last December, Affinity Partners raised about an additional $1.5 billion from Qatar Investment Authority and Abu Dhabi-based asset manager. No joke, man. We're not talking thousands, we're not talking millions, we're talking billions of dollars being put into his investment firm. Yeah, they're buying him off. What do you think, man? They're buying him off. It's undermining Trump. I'm telling you, they're undermining Trump. And that snake in the grass, his own son-in-law, is undermining Trump. And so is Steve Witkoff. So in this article, The Free Press, How Qatar Bought America, it goes through all of what Kushner's doing and all of what Witkoff is doing by taking money from these Muslim countries. Look at Qatar. In 2023, Qatar's Sovereign Wealth Fund purchased Witkoff's estate in New York's Park Lane Hotel for $623 million, basically rescuing his investment because he was going on his head. So, why do you think Qatar says, you know what, I'm going to rescue Steve Witkoff? Why don't they rescue Brandon? I would like to be rescued and pay all my financial bills. But why did they say, you know what, we're going to help old Steve, man. He's a good old boy. He's just somebody we're just going to randomly pick. Why? Because there's already stuff going on, guys. There's already stuff going on, so they're bailing him out. They bailed him out. Look, you just don't throw out $623 million to somebody and bail them out unless you're getting something in return, please. Okay, this is not like we want to help this guy. There's an exchange happening. I'm telling you, Trump is being undermined. I don't know if he knows. If he knew, would he have them on his staff? I don't know. So here's Trump. They gave him a king's entrance into Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia wants these deals. So here's them giving an escort into Saudi Arabia or Qatar, one of the two, and he's on Air Force One. And they're giving him a king's royal thing. Because why? They're going to kiss the ring because they want something from Trump. They want legitimacy. They want to be a player. Here's Air Force One again being escorted by, it looks like a very green place over there. Here's them coming down.
President Trump arriving in Saudi Arabia this morning, his first major foreign trip of his second term, also including stops in Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. The focus, deepening economic ties with the Gulf kingdoms. Saudi's crown prince promised a $600 billion investment in the U.S. when Trump was reelected, and the United Arab Emirates committed to a $1.4 trillion investment. The New York Times reports the Trump administration is now considering selling thousands of artificial intelligence chips to an Emirati AI firm, which the U.S. has scrutinized for ties to China. It comes as the president faces backlash over a $400 million proposed gift from Qatar, a luxury Boeing 747.
And I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
These photos showing what's been described as a flying palace that would replace the aging Air Force One with 2 furnished floors, plush carpets, leather seats, and 2 bedrooms. The administration claiming the gift would be legal, insisting Qatar is getting nothing in return. Trump saying it's a gift to the Pentagon and the plane will transfer to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation once he leaves office. But critics on both the left and the right blasting the gift as unethical and citing national security concerns.
Taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest, that's not America first.
Would we let another country decorate the Oval Office? Would we let another country build the Situation Room? Would we let another country wire the press office? Oh, wait. Air Force One is all 3.
The jet would also have to meet the strict Air Force requirements for presidential aircraft.
It would have to go through a security sweep to search for listening devices and tracking devices.
Trump's overseas trip also comes a day after his temporary truce with China to negotiate tariffs, now agreeing to slash tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the U.S. to 30%. China lowering its retaliatory tariff on American goods to 10%.
So here's the motorcade. Notice the Teslas that are escorting him into Saudi Arabia. Electric cars in Saudi Arabia? That's an oxymoron. Why do you need electric cars? You have oceans of oil, but they're driving Elon's trucks. Interesting, huh? Okay. So what happened? Okay, United States and Saudi Arabia reached a 142 billion arms deal. Okay, so we're going to give arms to them, and they're going to give us the money. So this week there are also a multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon are over there, Oracle, AMD, they're all here. Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many more are with Trump over there in Saudi Arabia and on this tour. Here's Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. Why is he there in Saudi Arabia? Why is Sam Altman is Jewish? They would have killed him. So you got big-time billionaires over there right now with Saudi Arabia, meeting with MBS. Something's going on. Trump and MBS tout $1 trillion pledge as details remain elusive. We do know that President Trump in Saudi Arabia, MBS touted a $600 billion investment. Separately, a lot of transactions happening right now. Boeing set to export $4.8 billion worth of 737 passenger aircraft for Saudi Arabian-based Aviles. Alphabet Incorporated, Google, Oracle, Salesforce, Advanced Micro Devices, Uber Technologies, Incorporated Saudi-based Datavolt will invest $80 billion in cutting-edge transformative technologies in both countries. Datavolt is moving forward with plans to spend $20 billion in artificial intelligence data centers and energy infrastructures in the U.S., according to this statement. There's a lot of heavy hitters playing right now. A lot of stuff's going on right now. I don't know what to think about. Now, I know people will say, well, this is going to bring money to the United States. Yeah, but are we doing deals with people we shouldn't be doing deals with? That's the problem. Trump receives grand reception at first president to officially visit Qatar. These are the guys you don't trust. Here he comes off So he went from Saudi Arabia and then he's in Qatar and met with them. More of it. Here's the camels. They're all lined up. They're ready to go. I've never seen so many camels. Trump did say, we appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time. Okay, so here's an interesting picture I want you to digest because this is concerning, okay? So you got MBS there. Trump's there with Rubio. They're actually listening to a phone call. If you can see the phone in the middle, okay? The guy in the middle chair to the left is the ISIS, Al-Qaeda guy from Syria. Yeah, with the beard, the black beard. That guy, we had a $25 million bounty on him. And he's sitting there in this meeting. So he came from Syria to be with Trump, and they're listening to the phone. Who are they listening to? Well, apparently, Turkey's Erdogan has phoned in, and they have Erdogan on the phone, and they're listening. So you got Turkey, Syria, with MBS. When I hear that Turkey's involved, because Turkey is the one who put that guy in place in Syria. They're the ones who funded it. Turkey's not to be trusted as far as you can throw them. And neither is that guy. Neither is MBS. And they're all getting together. Then he goes over to Qatar. Trump secures a $1 trillion economic commitment during his visit with Qatar. And here's the weird thing. So Qatar Airways has placed an order for more than 160 Boeing jets. So there's some massive trade-offs going on here, and Boeing, this is huge for them. This is huge. This is big money. We're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars being traded, and there's stuff going on here that I don't speak that language. Okay? When you're talking billions and trillions, that's huge amounts of money that are being transacted going on through all of this. I like what John Kennedy said, I trust Qatar like I trust a restaurant bathroom. I like him. He's good. I agree. So Trump is going to receive a $400 million flying palace from Qatar. And what happened was Boeing, and Boeing's having all this windfall of selling their planes to these Middle Eastern countries. But they told Trump, because he wanted Air Force One to be refurbished and get it up to speed, and they said, we can't get to it until 2035. And so Qatar says, yeah, we'll just give you a $400 million plane. You can use one of ours for Air Force One. Now, here's my question. Here's the flying palace, and it's plush. I would like to fly in something like that. Not from Qatar, though. Not from Qatar. But it's pretty plush. It's the bathroom. That's different than the kind of bathrooms in the airplanes that I'm used to. That's a lot different. There's room in there. Huh, wow. There's the cockpit. It's plush, very plush. And there's the camels again. Oh, anyway. So let me ask you this. If you're the president of the United States, and say you were president, and Qatar, who funds terrorism, Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, this says, hey, you know, Brandon, let me give you a nice $400 million jet to fly. Would you fly in it? Why not? Don't you trust them? Guys, this is a major security problem. You cannot accept, booby-trapped, wired, who knows? Who knows? We're going to have a thorough security check. I'm sorry, I'm just not taking anything from you. I'm sorry, I don't trust you. Because apparently, someone's not advising Trump that you can't trust Islamic people. I'm sorry, I hate to be like that, but I know the Quran, I know the Hadith, and I know what it says. Anyway, White House fact sheet notes that Qatar has agreed with General Atomics to pay $2 billion for remotely piloted MQ-9Bs. Boeing and Qatar inked massive deal to where the company will sell like I said, the country 160 aircraft between Boeing and GE Aerospace. The Qataris are buying a total of 210 planes for a whopping $96 billion. The historic agreement will support 154,000 U.S. jobs annually, totaling 1 million jobs in the U.S. during the course of production. So people are going to say, well, we're bringing jobs to the United States. And why is Qatar the mediator in all of this? Why is Qatar an honest broker? No, they've embedded themselves into the Hamas conflict by supplying humanitarian aid and giving cash to payments and to pay salaries to whomever, which caused the international community and even the West to accuse Israel of starving the Gazans. They're funding Hamas. Qatar gave money to the Gazans. They funded and sanitized Hamas, and this allowed Hamas to build its terroristic zones. Furthermore, the West gave billions, so they didn't need Qatar's money. So according to Israel's military 24-hour surveillance, Gaza was a thriving place with palatial residences. So a lot of the leaders of Hamas were millionaires. Did you know that? There were millionaires. America's got to acknowledge that Qatar and what they're up to. It is an Islamist regime, okay? It's the largest supporter of Wahhabism. 80% of the mosques here in America are Wahhabi, radical, okay? Radical. One of the largest state sponsors of terrorism in the world next to Iran. And they need to be designated as a terrorist state, but we have all these people cozying up to them. They are hardcore, man. They fund Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the new Syrian leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa. And again, like I said, it had a 10 million, I think it was a 25 million bounty on its head. Funds Sudan, Afghanistan, Tunisia, Turkey, Muslim Brotherhood, Libya, who are all anti-Israel and anti-America. So why would I try to do a deal with anyone that's anti-America and anti-Israel? Yeah. That guy right there. That's the guy that met Trump on the airplane, right? That came down. That's him. I know this is kind of small, but in that article, How Qatar Bought America, I want to point out, key members of Qatar's royal family have been made their admiration for Islamism and Hamas specifically very clear. Sheikha Moza bint Nasir, the mother of Qatar's emir and the chairperson of education nonprofit funneling millions into American schools, praised mastermind of October 7th massacre, Yahya Sinwar. He will live on, she wrote on X, after his death last year, and they will be gone. Talking about Israel will be gone. The question is, how did a refuge of Islamic radicalism, a country criticized for modern-day slave labor, become the center of global politics and commerce? How did this tiny peninsular country of 300,000 citizens and millions of non-citizens, migrant workers, manage to put itself smack dab in the center of global diplomacy and so successfully ingratiate itself within the Trump administration? Money. Buying people off. And I think what you're seeing is stuff's happening. Now, let's talk about this. So Trump then agrees. We met with this guy. This is Jelani. His name is Sharad now. He's changed his name, but it's Jelani. So he came down to Saudi Arabia, met with all of them, and so Trump agreed to lift the sanctions off of Syria. Okay? And this is kind of head-scratching. I don't know what to think about it. He was eager to meet with Trump, and he offered oil and gas deals to the United States. He offered peace with Israel. Don't believe that. And even permits for a new Trump Tower in Damascus if President Trump will receive him. So he's offering all this stuff. Anyway, after the meeting, that Trump said he would explore normalizing relations with Damascus while Syria would explore joining the Abrahamic Accords to normalize relations with Israel. Trump said he's a young, attractive guy, tough guy, strong past, very strong past, fighter. President said he's got a real shot at holding it together. He's a real leader. He led a charge, and he's pretty amazing. I felt very strongly that this would give them a chance. Yeah, it was 10 million. I said 25 million. I was wrong. It was 10 million. Until recently, the State Department was offering 10 million bounty on rewards of justice program for information leading to his capture. The bounty was originally 5 million, but the State Department doubled it to 10 million in June of 2020. This is the warrant that was out for him. Okay? So what these guys can do is, I'm former Al-Qaeda, I'm former jihadist, and then I just put on a three-piece suit, kind of trim up my beard, take my turban off, and I can act Western. Yeah. Here's the problem. He was and is part of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. He's killed Syrian Christians, threatened them with jihadis in his rebel coalition. He's killed many Alawites. Remember, we talked about this a couple months ago. There's estimates between 7,000 to 17,000 people they killed when they came through, including Christians and Alawites. The Druze have sought protection from Israel after they were persecuted by them. And then the Syrian Kurds fear they have no representation in the central government. Last month, Shara refused Kurdish demands for a decentralized model of government that would give them more autonomy. And why is this important? Because Turkey wants to eliminate the Kurds. And Turkey has been pounding the Kurds. And so this guy is in line with Turkey. He's been put in place by the power of Turkey. What does Netanyahu say? Netanyahu is opposed to lifting sanctions on Syria. The official says the request was made out of a concern that a cross-border attack similar to Hamas' 7th assault could come from Syria. And I don't blame him. This guy was Al-Qaeda. This guy, again, is a jihadist. So Trump said on Wednesday he would put Shara on notice that Syria must improve its relations with Israel and become a force for regional stability. Okay. So here's Erdogan. The most enthusiastic foreign support for Shara was emanated from Turkey, from Erdogan. Turkey began calling for the world to lift sanctions against Syria within days of the rebellion driving Assad into exile. Saudi Arabia and the Gulf oil states have also expressed support for the new Syrian government. So they're all in bed with each other. You have to see this. They're all in bed. They want this guy, and so does Turkey, to be the main leader of Syria, even though he's most wanted. And they're going to convince us that he's not a jihadist anymore, that he's turned over a new leaf, that Qatar has turned over a new leaf, that Saudi Arabia has turned over a new leaf. And we can trust them now. We can trust these guys because we can just give them money and they can make deals with us, money, and give them businesses, and they're going to be cool. So we can bargain with them financially, and they'll put aside their jihad. Now, wait a second. If that is the mentality that we're functioning under, that they just want economic help, they just want to do deals and be part of a player on the world scene economically, then are we making the same mistake as Israel made and its general staff about giving economic prosperity to the Palestinians and Hamas, and they won't want to kill us? It's the same mistake. You can't do deals with Islamic people. You can't trust them. Because Israel did that, and they thought, well, we'll just give them economic security. And they still want to kill you. In fact, they butchered you. They raped your women so many times they broke their hips. They cut guys' heads off with shovels. They put babies in ovens after they were millionaires. The leaders of Hamas were millionaires. And you would think, well, they can just sit back and go to the Mediterranean and sip iced tea and have their money. It doesn't matter. If you give them millions of dollars, they still want to kill Jews. And the issue is they want to kill Israel, but they also want to kill the West. These are people that hate us. They want to destroy America. They want to destroy the West. That's what they're doing in Europe. Trump told an investment firm in Riyadh on Tuesday that MBS persuaded him that it was time to lift the crushing economic sanctions on Syria, which has served their purpose in weakening the Assad regime. I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance for greatness. Good luck, Syria. Show us something very special. They're going to show jihad is what they're going to show. This came out of Jerusalem Post. And the Jerusalem Post is not conservative. The Jerusalem Post is left-wing, radical left-wing, okay? So remember, when you're reading the Jerusalem Post, you're reading a left-wing, you might as well read the New York Times. Okay, notice what they said. Trump's time in Saudi Arabia is part of the shifting global world order. The U.S. is no longer a hegemonic power. This is a multipolar world. Trump is embracing a policy where Syria will determine its own future. He will not hold the past against Shara and Syria. He is ready for a new world order. Thank you very much. So, here's the problem. We all need to be praying for President Trump because I think he has people undermining him. Again, okay? Witkoff and Jared Kushner, no doubt. But I think there's other people undermining him in his cabinet. And by the way, his spiritual advisor is Paula White. Okay? I don't know if he listens to her, but I'm praying that somebody can get in there and say, hey man, you can't trust the Saudis, you can't trust Qatar, you can't trust this dude in Syria, and you definitely can't trust Turkey. Somebody's got to talk to him and wake him up. And it can't be Paula White. Paula White's nuts. And I'm not trying to be mean. But she's word of faith, prosperity gospel. Okay? He's had her for both terms. She allegorizes the Old Testament to support her personal financial breakthroughs. Texts meant for redemptive history or Israel's covenant are reworked into personal success formulas. She takes the forbidden role of senior pastor. She calls herself a senior pastor. She blends Christian nationalism and charismatic spiritual warfare, which misrepresents the kingdom of God. Believes that the kingdom can be ushered in by politics, prophetic decrees, and charismatic spiritual warfare. So promotes a blend of kingdom now, NAR, dominionist theology. Okay, where's her stance on Israel? Well, it's simply just political. She expresses support for modern Israel, citing Genesis 12:3. She's participated in events promoting U.S.-Israel solidarity, but in her charismatic framework, the blessings promised to Israel are often applied to the church or even America. She promotes the idea that spiritual Israel includes believers without affirming a literal national future for Israel. So her Israel versus the church distinction is blurred. She confuses the two. So what does all that mean? She cannot give proper advice to him about the Middle East as a spiritual advisor. She just can't. Your only hope is if Huckabee talks to him. Huckabee at least has our eschatology and understands the significance of Israel. And Huckabee at least understands you can't do deals with the Saudis or anyone else for that matter. So let's understand something from an Islamic standpoint. Or why, Brandon, you're just seeming to be mean. You're Islamophobic. No, I understand the religion. That's why. Hudna. Hudna is a false peace. It's a truce or a ceasefire used when Muslims are too weak to win outright. What is the ultimate goal? A caliphate. Okay? A hudna is allowed when it benefits the Muslim community by preserving lives, repositioning, reorganizing, rebuilding forces, or creating opportunities for spreading Islam. It's a tactical pause intended only for rearmament and tactical advantages. It must have a time limit, although it can be renewed for the benefit of the community, specifically limited to the maximum of 10 years. So what is it trying to say with the hudna? They can do deals with Trump knowing that behind their back they're crossing their fingers and they're lying about wanting to be partners because they're in a weakened condition or whatever, or they want to use this to spread Islam or whatever and get everybody under their thumb or whatever. And they can lie and say, you know what, we're Western, man. We want to be players in the new economic system. And really, hudna is lying. Okay? It's lying. Hudna cannot involve the violation of Islamic principles such as permanently surrounding Muslim territory, compromising the 5 pillars of Islam, or giving up Muslim rights. A hudna is negotiated with non-Muslims. That's who it's usually dealt with. So you've seen this with the Palestinians doing hudnas with Israel. We're going to have a ceasefire. We're all cool. We're all good. We want peace. We want peace. And then what happens? You had intifadas. First intifada, second intifada. They break it. Okay? So Dr. Mordecai Kedar, he's an Israeli scholar in the Middle East. He's often warned about misunderstanding the term and its impact on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but you can broaden it out to what's happening right now. If you, the Muslim, are weak and an infidel is too strong, you can give him a temporary peace. The second thing is, if the infidel falls asleep on guard, you can do whatever you like to him, even with the time of the temporary peace, because this is what Muhammad did. That's right. So they lullaby the victim to sleep, and when the victim is not watching, they attack. They take advantage of. That's what hudna is about. Now, what about taqiyya? Taqiyya is saying something that isn't true as it relates to Muslim identity, whether one is a Muslim or what it means. This is a Shiite term, mudarat. The Sunni kind of part is mudarat. The practice of concealing one's belief or lying to avoid persecution or to achieve a strategic goal. So yes, we're dealing with a religion that can make false peace agreements. Hey, I'm a good boy. I'm no longer a terrorist. I don't want to kill Israelites. I don't want to go after the West. I'm a good boy. And I can lie about what I'm doing and be blessed by Allah to do it if it furthers the cause of Islam. Quran talks about it, and these other passages I indicated are from the Hadith. So I'm taking their source material, and that's what it says. And here's from Islamic law, the reliance of the traveler. Speaking is a means of achieving objectives. If a praiseworthy aim is attainable through both telling the truth and lying, it is unlawful to accomplish it through lying because there is no need for it. When it is possible to achieve such an aim by lying but not telling the truth, it is permissible to lie if obtaining the goal is permissible. Okay, that's it. When I say they have a theological reason to lie and can, there it is. That's why you don't make deals with them. That's why you can't trust them. And they have proven over and over and over and over to be untrustworthy. That their ultimate goal is a caliphate. It's the destruction of the West, and to subdue all infidels, all unbelievers, and make them bow a knee to Islam. That's what's happening here. And there's no spiritual advisor. Paula White can't help Trump, so we have to be praying. Because what ends up happening with these guys, they hate Israel. They all hate Israel. They play the game, we want to normalize relationship with Israel. They don't. Their Quran says that the Jews are pigs and monkeys. Okay? And that they need to be eliminated. So they can say all they want, but their source material, the religion they follow, tells them to do that. And just because someone puts on a suit and tie and is nice to Trump and welcoming him and yada, 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 and lining up camels all along the road, doesn't mean deep down inside that is gone. It is still there. It's a hudna. It's me pretending to be nice for a time period because I want to do a deal. So what do we need to do? We can pray. That's what we got to pray. Pray that somebody gets Jared Kushner out of there, Steve Witkoff out of there, and someone says, please do not ride in that plane from Qatar. Don't ever get on that plane, ever. I wouldn't trust them. I would imagine, would you imagine it's booby-trapped? Of course. Of course they would. And that would be the ultimate. Trump gets in there and the plane goes down and Trump dies. And they kill our president. That's not out of oh, we're sorry. We didn't know the little seal there wasn't working well. Sorry about it. We missed that. I know it's worth $400 million, but we missed that one little part. Sorry. It's that whole thing. And again, we are in some very scary times, and our president is at risk. Our president is at risk with these people. These people are snakes in the grass, man. And so it puts Israel in danger, it puts us in danger, and puts our president in danger. So we got to be praying. We got to be praying, man, and make sure that nothing happens to Trump and he gets the right people around him, okay? All right, we got to get running. Let's pray, and we'll get running. Father, thank you, Lord, for what we can understand.